decreases in the industrial and commercial sector. So, this is what it's going to be in the future. It has got to be, and we've got to plan for that. I'll just show you 2 more slides because I caught, oh my God, look, it's taking me ages to get to them. This is the wind that's coming. This is what has happened in terms of CO2 emissions per kilowatt hour produced in Ireland since 1990 up to 2007. I call it my Intel chart, But this is what has got to happen. You can see how much more we've got to go. And there are lots and lots of things that we can do, but we've got to plan for a more sustainable and a more secure society, and that is all about sustainability. And I think the message is, it is not a cost. It is something we absolutely have got to do. Not in terms only of our energy, but in terms of the way we live and in terms of the way we manage our own households. The electric vehicles issue, I believe, is absolutely with us. Anytime the electric vehicles initiative happened in the past, it was killed by the motor industry. This year it won't happen. The American government owns the motor industry, and they are committed to sort of making change. And I believe that we have great opportunities here. We don't have great distances. Electric vehicles, even the ones which will be on sale next year, can travel 150 miles. Once the battery technology improves a little bit, you get to 250 miles, you can travel anywhere in Ireland. And the reality is that the surveys have shown 80% of people travel less than 40 miles a day. We have the electricity already to supply an entire fleet of electric vehicles for Ireland. It would take about 2,000 megawatts to fuel an electric car for everybody in the country. And we have 2,000 megawatts already idle during the night, and most of the charging for electric vehicles is done during the night time. Okay, it's expensive to buy at the moment. Battery technology has to develop, but it's something that's going to happen. So the message that I wanted to sort of leave you with, I'll just say something very quickly about Copenhagen, if I have 1 more minute, Paul. The issue about Copenhagen that the world needs is certainty. And there is only one issue in relation to Copenhagen. Let's be absolutely straight about that. It's nothing to do with China. It's nothing to do with India. We manufacture things for 100 years. We can't afford to manufacture them anymore. We still need them. So we ask China and India to make them for us. And we say, by the way, be good boys and girls and don't emit any CO2. That is our CO2. Let's have no doubts about that. So this is not about China and India. This is about America. The US has to join, and if the US doesn't join, it won't work. And I think the critical things, like, let's say, for business is certainty. You need certainty because it's not big institutions that fund companies, it's individuals. So when you go to a bank looking for money, you might think it's some big institution. Well, it's a Jim O'Hara, or it's a Terence O'Rourke that you're actually dealing with. And they need to know that the world is behind this. So we have a big challenge in terms of Copenhagen that says, will the US sort of get behind it? And one of their big challenges is not the fact that they have so many things on their agenda, like Afghanistan and Iraq and health and all of those kind of things. More than half the electricity that's generated in America is generated by coal. It's the coal lobby. And the Democratic senators have said, we're 4 square behind the president until it comes to coal. So you see, there's a big challenge there. But let's park that for a second. Regardless, like what will happen out of Copenhagen will be some big compromise. The big things that we need out of Copenhagen is, I don't care about 2050. I really don't. Because anybody can say, oh yeah, I'm good for 2050. We're good for 2050, we'll make that. I'd prefer if it was 2075 if there was a gradual, if we got on the road. At least if we started, and step by step we made progress. I think that would be better. Even if we said it was 2100. As long as we're making progress along the road, I think that's good. And the other thing that Copenhagen needs to do is, the developing world is right. We can't, as the big emitters of CO2 in the Western world say, hold on. Only 40% of the people in the world have electricity. And if you're running a government and you need your people to have electricity, well, you'll do it whatever way you can. And if you have coal, you'll make them in coal stations. The whole CO2 trading model has got to change to allow developing countries invest in the energy sector in the developing world and get full credit for it. Full credit, not 10% of the entire emissions trading sector. Then you allow the sort of big energy companies, all sizes, us included, to invest, get full credit. You manage the cost of CO2. You allow the whole developing world to sort of progress, and you get the ball rolling. Because it is that developing world, even if we were really successful and another 10% of the people in the world got electricity by 2050, that would be a staggering amount of electricity generation. So if we say we can't afford it to be all done in CO2 emitting plant, well then we've got to do something about it. And it's only the developed world that can do something about that, let's be straight. So all of those things, like big issues, what will happen out of Copenhagen would be some big compromise. I'm not really worried about that either. If we get the US in and we solve the issue about the developing countries, I think we can manage it. For Ireland, it's not a question that this is a cost that we can't afford it at the moment. We'll think about it again in 2020. We've got to look at the future, and we've got to sort of solve our own problems. And at the moment, we are totally dependent on the price of fossil fuel. It doesn't matter what you do. I see Paul Cunningham on his feet. We've got to solve our own problems, and the way for us to do it is to grasp what I believe that we are doing in ESB, and for everybody to sort of say, it's a new world, we've got to manage our own demand in terms of how we do that, and we've got to prepare a security of supply situation that delivers longer-term price stability for Ireland. Thank you very much.